Mental and concrete. Some of those who are wandering about in darkness call the rational sciences mental sciences. Probably what they mean is that these sciences have no concrete existence. Anyway, all sciences are a means of reaching a goal. Any science that does not serve that purpose is not fit to be called a science. Any knowledge which does not allow man to achieve the objective for which the prophets have come is darkness and a barrier. The prophets came to take the people out of the darkness of this world and to lead them to the sole source of light. They wanted man to pass away in absolute light. They want the drop of water to be mingled in the ocean and lose its existence. It must be remembered that a simile does not represent the position fully. All the prophets came for this very purpose, and all sciences are a means of achieving this goal. The real existence is of that light only. We are but nonentity. All prophets came to pull us out of all sorts of darkness and to lead us to the sole and absolute light, the source of all existence. Sometimes even scholastic theology becomes a hurdle and a barrier. In this branch of knowledge, arguments are adduced to prove the existence of Allah. But in some cases, even these arguments lead people away from Him. The method followed by scholastic theology is not that of the prophets and the holy men who never adduced arguments. Of course, they were aware of the arguments, but did not use them because they did not like this method of proving the existence of Allah. Imam Hussein addressing Allah once said, "When were you not there? When Allah has always existed, where is the necessity of proving His existence? It is a different thing that a blind eye does not see Him." Rising for Allah. The Quran mentions the first stage of rising in these words. Say, I advise you to do one thing, that you rise for Allah. Surah Saba, chapter 34, verse 46. The Gnostics say that this verse describes the first stage of spiritual journey. The Manazil al-Sa'irin also says so. But what the verse mentions may be only a prelude, not a stage. Anyhow, what is important is that Allah through His well-beloved Prophet offers an advice and asks people to rise. This is the starting point. Those who are sleeping have been told to get up and rise for Allah only. This is the only piece of advice which we have not so far listened to. We have not yet begun walking for Allah. We do walk, but for our own sake. Those who are good and pious are also good for their own sake only. Yes, there are some friends of Allah whose ways are different. The advice given in the verse is for us who are sleeping. Those friends of Allah have gone to the higher world. We will also be carried there. Nobody can claim that he would forever stay here. We are being pushed away by the angels, controlling our organs. We will go there. But shall we go with all our veils and darknesses? Love of the world is the root cause of all troubles. Besides being the source of all things, love of the world is the main cause of all mistakes. As a well-known maxim says, love of the world sometimes makes a man so irresponsible that if he feels that Allah has withdrawn something from him, he, in spite of being a believer, gets offended. It is said that when a person is about to die, the devils who do not want him to die as a believer bring before him certain things to which he was very much attached. For example, if he was a student and loved books, the devils would bring before him his favorite books, and would threaten him to set them on fire if he would not deviate from his faith. The same way the devils threaten the person who loves his child or is strongly interested in something else. It is not correct to think that a worldly person is he who possesses wealth. One may possess a lot of wealth, but still may not be worldly. On the other hand, a student possessing only one book may be worldly if he was too much attached to it. Attachment to worldly things is the criteria of being worldly. Because of this attachment, a person may become hostile to Allah when he finds himself, at the time of death, forced to quit his favorite things, and thus may die as an enemy of Allah. Therefore, we must lessen our attachment to worldly things. Obviously, we have to quit this world one day or other. So, it does not make any difference whether we are attached to the world or not. Suppose you owned a book. Whether you were attached to it or not, it would remain with you. You could use it and could get benefited by it. Similarly, if a house was yours, you could use it in every case. Therefore, diminish attachment as much as you can, and if possible, give it up altogether, for it is this attachment that causes trouble. It is because of self-love that man gets attached to the world. Love of self, power, and position ruins man. Love of chair and love of pulpit both show attachment to the world. All these are whales, some of them above others. Instead of saying worldly people or those who possess such and such things, we should see how far we are attached to the things we possess. It is only because of this attachment that we criticize others. A man who is not egoistic does not criticize others. If some of us find fault with others, it is because they consider themselves to be cultured and perfect and regard others imperfect and faulty. There is a couplet which I would not recite because it is liable to some objection. Anyway, it says, "I am just what you say, but you are what you pretend to be." Here, in the seminary, we show that we have come here for the sake of Allah. We call ourselves Allah's troops. Are we really so? At least we should not pretend to be what we are not. Is hypocrisy something else? Hypocrisy is not merely that a man pretends like Abu Sufyan to be religious while he is not so. It is also hypocrisy that a man claims to be what he is not. Anyway, hypocrisy has degrees, some of which are more severe than others. Another important thing is that when a man departs this world, it should not be said about him that he was merely inviting people to the next world and was indifferent to the present one. The prophets invited people to the next world, but in this world also they used to set up justice and fair play. The Holy Prophet was very close to Allah, but he used to say that he sought the forgiveness of Allah 70 times every day, as he felt his heart somewhat perturbed. Naturally, for a man who wants always to be with his beloved, it is perturbing to meet other people and talk to them. Suppose a man came to you to ask you about a rule of law. He is a very good man, and you know that it is your duty as well as meritorious act to answer his question. But you still feel perturbed because at that time you wanted to be with your beloved. Because of the perturbation of my heart, I seek the forgiveness of Allah 70 times every day. The Holy Prophet is reported to have said some such thing, but for us it would not be proper to involve ourselves in such things. At least we should be as we give ourselves out. If we have a mark of prostration on our forehead, we must not be showy in our prayers. If we profess to be pious, we must not deceive anybody. We must not take usury. Those who say that spiritual sciences make a man idler are mistaken. The man who taught these sciences to the people, and who next to the Holy Prophet knew the spiritual truths more than anybody else, according to history, took up his shovel and went out to work the same day as he pledged his allegiance to the Holy Prophet. There is no contradiction between spiritual sciences and physical work. Those who, in order to keep people busy with their worldly affairs, prevent them from praying and saying liturgy, etc., are not aware of real facts. They do not know that it is prayer that builds human character and teaches man how to live in this world respectably. The prophets prayed and said liturgy, etc., and it were they who established justice in the world and rose against the wrongdoers. Imam Hussein also did the same thing. Just see his supplication of the day of Arafah and ponder over it. All their achievements were due to these prayers. It is prayers that make man attentive to Allah. If man recites them properly, then as the result of divine favor brought about by them, his self-attachment is diminished, but his efficiency is in no way affected adversely. Not only that, but he becomes more active and ever ready to render service to his fellow human beings. Some ignorant people criticize the books containing supplications. They do not know what kind of men these books build. Some of these supplications, such as Manajat Shabaniya, Dua Kumail, Dua Yawmul Arafah, Dua Samat, etc., have come down to us from our Imams. What kind of men do these prayers build? Those who recited the Munajat Shabaniya wielded the sword also. According to reports, all Imams recited Munajat Shabaniya. I have not read anywhere about any other prayer or supplication that it was recited by all Imams. Those who recited this prayer also fought against the unbelievers. These prayers take man out of darkness, and he who comes out of darkness becomes the real man. Then he does everything for Allah's sake. If he wields the sword, he does so for the sake of Allah. If he fights, he does so for the sake of Allah. And if he rises, he does so for the sake of Allah. It is absolutely wrong to say that prayers make man idle and useless. Those who say such things, to them this world is everything. They believe everything beyond this world to be fantastic. But one day they will find that the things they thought to be fantastic were real, and the things they thought to be real were fantastic. In fact, prayers, sermons, and the books like Nahjul Balagha and Mafatihul Jinan help man in building his personality. When one becomes a real man, he automatically begins to act according to true Islamic principles. He cultivates land, but his cultivation is for Allah. He fights, but only against the infidels and wrongdoers. Such people are the monotheists and pious prayers. Those who accompanied the Holy Prophet and the Commander of the Faithful were devoted worshippers. Imam Ali, peace be upon him, himself used to offer prayers while fighting was going on. Fighting and praying went on side by side. Once, while fighting was going on, somebody asked him a question. He immediately rose and delivered a sermon. Somebody said, "Sermon even on this occasion?" He said, "It is for what we fight." According to a report, he added, "We do not fight against Muawiyah to capture Syria. Syria has no importance to us." The Holy Prophet and Imam Ali were not keen to conquer Syria and Iraq. They wanted to deliver the people from the oppressors and to reform them morally. It was they who were ardent worshippers. Dua Kumail was taught by Imam Ali to Kumail, who himself was a warrior. Effect of prayer on heart. To prevent people from praying and reciting prayer books, one day some wicked people, the followers of Khasravi, etc., collected gnosis and prayer books and set them on fire. These people did not understand what prayer was and what effect it produced on heart. They did not know that all good things in the world were due to the pious prayers who prayed and remembered Allah. Although some people repeat their prayer simply parrot-like, yet it produces some effect, for the people who pray are better than those who do not. A man who offers prayers of howsoever low quality his prayers may be is better than a man who does not offer prayers. The former is more cultured. He does not commit theft. Look at the list of the offenders and criminals. How many of them are the students of religious sciences? How many mullahs drink wine, commit theft, or perpetrate other crimes? It is true that the smugglers include some unreal mullahs and Sufi-looking persons, but those wicked people neither offer prayers nor do they perform any other meritorious acts. They have assumed this disguise just to achieve their vicious ends. Among those who recite prayers and observe Islamic injunctions, there are few who have ever been charge-sheeted for any serious crime. The world order rests on the people who pray. Praying must not be done away with. It will be wrong to divert the attention of our young men from prayer on the plea that instead of prayer, the recitation of the Quran should be popularized. What paves the way for the Quran must not be given up. It is a diabolic insinuation that the Quran should be recited and the tradition and supplications to Allah should be abandoned. the Quran without traditions and prayer. Those who say that they do not want supplications would never be able to popularize the Quran. Their deceptive ideas are mere devilish insinuations. The young men should consider who have rendered better service to society, those who took keen interest in traditions, supplication, and liturgy, or those who said that the Quran was enough for them. All these charitable institutions and religious endowments or the works are those who offered prayers and recited the Quran, not of others. All the religious schools and hospitals were built by those members of rich nobility of the previous era who offered prayers. The system should continue. People should be encouraged to keep their attention to good works. Besides helping in the achievement of spiritual excellence, these prayers and supplications help in the administration of the country also. Those who attend the mosques and pray do not violate the law of the country, nor do they breach the public order. This in itself is a great service to society. Society consists of individuals. Even if 50% individuals in a society being busy with prayers and supplication did not commit crimes, it would be a happy situation. A craftsman who does his job honestly and earns his livelihood does not commit sins. Similarly, those who commit murders and robberies are not interested in spiritual matters. If they had been interested in them, they would not have committed such crimes. Prayers and supplications play a significant role in training society. These supplications have been taught by Allah and His Prophet. The Holy Quran says, "Say, my Lord would not have cared for you if you had not been calling Him." Surah Al-Furqan, chapter 25, verse 77. If you read the Quran, you will find that Allah Himself urges people to pray to Him and says that He would not have cared for you if you had not been calling Him. It appears that those who oppose supplications do not believe even in the Quran. If anyone says that he does not want supplications, that means that he is neither interested in the Quran, nor does he believe in it. He does not know that Allah says, "Call me, I will respond to you." Surah Ghafir, chapter 40, verse 60. May Allah include us among those who are keenly interested in supplications, prayer, and the Quran.